माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जननी यशोदानंदन व्रज जननी यमुनातीरावनचारि तीरावनचारि राधा माधव कुंज विहारी राधा माधव विहारी गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जननी यशोदानंदन व्रज जननी यमुनातीरावनचारि तीरावनचारि राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा गिरिधारी राधा गिरिधारी राधा जय राधा गिरिधारी राधा गिरिधारी राधा जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव नमोषपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नामाचार्य शिलादास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा गिरिधारी भगवान की जय श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा मैया की जय श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि गौर all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the lotus feet of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga all glories to Srila Prabhupada all glories to Srila Gurudev Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी तथा श्रीमद्भागवतम की जय Hare Krishna, welcome all of you to the next session of our evening Srimad Bhagavatam Katha. For those of you who have been following, We started with the pastimes of Jada Bharat in this particular schedule. So we had completed 3 sessions before this, and today is the 4th session of the Jada Bharat pastimes and lessons that we can take from his activities in Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is from 5th canto. And just a quick recap, we saw how Jada Bharat was originally Bharat Maharaj and how he left his kingdom to engage in devotional service. So he came to the forest, started doing his devotional service, and somehow the other was attracted to the upkeep of a baby deer who was rendered helpless. And somehow the other, just before death, he got attached so much to the deer that he used to think about the deer, which ultimately affected his sadhana, his devotional service. And as a result, when he gave up his body as Bharat Maharaj, he got the body of a deer. But because he had performed devotional service, Krishna mercifully gave him the remembrance of his past life. So in the body of the deer, he chose to stay away from the family and live in association with the devotees, the sadhus, who were constantly engaged in devotional service. He led a very simple, austere life in the association of sadhus, and as a result, when he left his body of a deer, he was given the body of a Brahmana, or the son of a very devout Brahmana. And in that particular birth, he was called Jada Bharat. And we also saw how he was extremely alert based on his past experience, the attachment that was so fatal. Just an attachment to the deer proved so fatal from him that almost to the stage of just before he was about to achieve perfection in devotional service, this attachment brought about his downfall from the position that he was in. But Krishna is so merciful, he doesn't allow the devotees to completely fall away. When devotees do stumble, Krishna gives them another opportunity to get back to the same platform and then make progress again. So Jada Bharat, knowing his past experience, deliberately decided to stay away from the material world. Deliberately decided to have nothing much to do with the material world, not get too involved, don't engage with any unnecessary conversation, argument, and do nothing. Just appear like a lazy, dumb person. But internally, he was extremely focused in the devotional service and meditation of the Lord. So we saw even when he was being raised as the son of a Brahmana, he had a very affectionate father, fortunately. And the father used to train him or try to train him. But Jada Bharat, on account of externally portraying that he is lazy and dumb and he doesn't understand anything, just behaved that way. And ultimately, his father, the Brahmana, he left his body. And he was under the care of his brothers and his stepmother, his 9 brothers. And they took advantage of the fact that he is not an ordinary person, not just an ordinary person there, he's just a liability on the family, and started treating him accordingly. So getting him to do all the hard work, getting him to work for the family, and then giving him just some broken grains or things that are not fit for human consumption and needs to be thrown away, is what they used to give Jada Bharat. But Jada Bharat never complained. Never ever complained. He just, whatever came his way, he took it. So surrendered was he to the Supreme Lord that whatever situation the Lord put him in, he accepted. And then we saw this wonderful episode of how he was doing his duties one night of guarding the crops, and he was kidnapped by a group of dacoits. And the dacoit leader wanted to offer him as a sacrifice to goddess Kali, so that that dacoit leader could actually get a son as a blessing. And when we heard all the details of how he was treated, how he was taken and fed and decorated, and about just when he was about to be killed, to be sacrificed, we saw how the deity burst open and Kali herself appeared, snatched away the sword from the dacoit priest, and killed all the dacoits, which was a good pointer for us that a devotee is never vanquished. Moreover, the devatas, the demigods, are never pleased when a devotee is offended. What to talk about a devotee being killed? So this is a very good example or proof of what Krishna tells us in the Bhagavad Gita, that the devatas are basically administrative controllers working under the direction of Krishna, and they are devotees of the Supreme Lord. So then, after they were killed, Jadabharat he came out, he just left that place, and then he met some palanquin carriers who were carrying the Maharaj of Sindhu, King Rahuguna. And they just, because he was very stout, muscular, they just got him forcefully to carry the palki. And he said nothing about it. He did nothing. He just, whatever he was told, he just did. But we saw how while carrying the palki, he was looking at the ants, and because he didn't want to step over them or other crawling living entities, he suddenly stopped and jerked, and that gave a jerk to the other palanquin carriers, and the king was disturbed as a result of the jerk. So the king actually warned him once. Jadabharat said nothing, continued, and then this happened again. And then this time the king was angry. And we see that till this point of time, Jadabharat never opened his mouth, never defended himself against any false accusation, never demanded good things be given to him as a matter of right. Whatever came his way, he just accepted. And at this point, at the end of last session, we saw how Jadabharat was threatened by King Rahuguna. So he said that, do you know, when he was extremely angry, he basically threatened Jadabharat and said, do you know that I am like Yamraj? If you don't follow what I'm telling you to do, I can actually punish you and I can kill you. So you'd better come to your senses and do as I'm telling you to do. Very harsh word. But little did Maharaj Rahuguna know who he is speaking these words to. Externally, he did appear like a madman, but internally, he wasn't aware of the greatness of Jadabharat. So at this point of time, the things completely take a turn, and a person who has never ever opened his mouth to speak learned words at all so far, now opens his mouth and responds to the threat of King Rahuguna. So we'll look at a verse from Canto 5, Chapter 10, Text 9. It's a verse, but it's got a big translation and a little small purport. So we'll have a read. Brahmana uvacha tvayoditam vyaktam avipralabdham bhartu samesyad yadi veera bharaha gantur yadi syad adhigamya madva viveti raso navidam pravadaha. Translation of Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The great Brahmana Jadabharat said, my dear king and hero, whatever you have spoken sarcastically is certainly true. Actually, these are not simply words of chastisement, for the body is the carrier. The load carried by the body does not belong to me. for I am the spirit soul. There is no contradiction in your statements because I am different from the body. I am not the carrier of the palanquin. The body is the carrier. Certainly, as you have hinted, I have not labored carrying the palanquin, for I am detached from the body. You have said that I am not stout and strong, and these words are befitting a person who do not know the distinction between the body and the soul. The body may be fat or thin, but no learned man would say such things of the spirit soul. As far as the spirit soul is concerned, I am neither fat nor skinny. Therefore, you are correct when you say that I am not very stout. Also, if the object of this journey and the path leading there were mine, there would be many troubles for me. But because they relate not to me but to my body, there is no trouble at all. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that one who is advanced in spiritual knowledge is not disturbed by the pains and pleasures of the material body. The material body is completely separate from the spirit soul, and the pains and pleasures of the body are superfluous. The practice of austerity and penance is meant for understanding the distinction between the body and soul and how the soul can be unaffected by the pleasures and pains of the body. Jada Bharat was actually situated on the platform of self realization. He was completely aloof from the bodily conception. Therefore, he immediately took this position and convinced the king that whatever contradictory things the king had said about his body did not actually apply to him as a spirit soul. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shunutami Tasmai Shri Gurave Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Mahavishnu Goswami Nami Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Nami Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Ram. So this verse is a very important verse because it marks the first time Jada Bharat. So the Brahman here that is referred is actually Jada Bharat. So he started speaking in response to the threat that King Rahuguna had given. And the first thing that he talked about is the fact that he is not the body. All the adjectives, all the harsh words that Maharaj Rahuguna had used was towards the body of Jada Bharat. Whereas Jada Bharat is actually spirit soul. And this is the same as the first instruction that Krishna gives to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. In chapter 2, where Krishna starts telling about the importance of the spirit soul. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara prapti dhira tatra namyati. So Krishna, from the very beginning, he says we are not the body, we are spirit soul. And the same argument as a devotee of the Supreme Lord, Jada Bharat is imparting to Maharaj Rahuguna. So he says clearly that I have not labored. You told me that I have not worked hard. I'm not very stout, and I've not labored hard to carry the palanquin. But actually, these are all bodily designations. I have nothing to do against them. So I'm not affected by your words. Essentially, that's what it came down to. And then he said that, see, distress, hunger, thirst, fear, desire for happiness, old age, sleep, attachments, anger, lamentation, illusion, these are various qualities of somebody who is completely immersed in the bodily conception of life. And we see that all these that Jada Bharat mentioned are things that actually trouble us in a day-to-day thing. I mean, we are all distressed. We all feel hungry. We all feel thirsty. We are affected by our desires for enjoying. we have anger, we have lamentation, we have illusions. Right? So all these are essentially related to the body. So when we understand that we are not this body, and we actually feel like that by practicing bhakti yoga, that is the time when these bodily conceptions, it is not that they do not affect us at all, but their effect on us is minimized. We don't get so much afflicted by excessive desire, excessive heat, excessive thirst. The body, because the mind somehow is attached to the higher knowledge, is attached to the supreme, it is not completely engulfed by these situations or by these conditions that pertain to the material body. Whereas people who do not have this knowledge, when something like this happens to them, they're completely engulfed. They just don't know what to do. They're completely gone. So then Jada said that I am actually free from all these bodily concepts. So I am not affected by either carrying your palanquin or by your harsh words. So that was his first, I wouldn't say argument, but his first line of educating King Rahuguna and trying to get him out of his ignorant position. And then he says, you think you are the master? So you're ordering me? But that is actually an incorrect attitude. It is not right. Why? Because these positions are temporary. Today you are the master, I am the servant. Tomorrow our positions might reverse. I might become the master and you might become the servant, as is the nature of this material world, isn't it? We see that how people who are very close friends today, tomorrow they become the worst of enemies. Do not want to meet each other, talk to each other, even look at each other. And sometimes when enemies, like you somehow or the other, they become enemies of each other, two or three people. But as time passes, things start to heal. And after a few years, the same individuals who were so-called enemies of each other, they become good friends. That's the nature of this material world. It is all about duality. So he says that today you're doing that, you're ordering me, you're saying harsh words. Tomorrow situation might reverse, and I might say that same thing to you. And he doesn't stop there. He says, you call me a rascal, a dull, crazy person, but I beg to inform you that I live like a madman because I'm actually a self-realized soul. Can you imagine? Jada Bharat actually said this to Maharaj Ramana. That Jada Bharat, who wouldn't even open his mouth to defend himself, to ask for what is rightfully his, such a wonderful personality is now come to the point where he's saying that you actually don't recognize me because externally I portray that I'm a fool, but actually internally I'm a self-realized soul. What is the purpose of saying this? He says, Jada Bharat is saying that because I'm a self-realized soul and because I'm not in the bodily concept of life, all your harsh words have not affected me. Moreover, in case you still think of punishing me, there will not be any gain. You will not get anything out of it. Why? Because I'm not in the bodily concept of life, your punishment will not have any effect. You will just be punishing this body. I am not the body, I'm the spirit soul. So your punishment will be of no use. It is just like beating a dead animal. He says beating a dead horse. When the living entity is dead and you beat that living entity, what is the point? It is just useless. So Jada Bharat is putting forward this point that don't worry, you have said harsh words, it has not affected me. If you want to give punishment, that will also be as ineffective as your harsh words. And then he says that when a madman is actually punished, then it has no impact on him. Like supposing a person is mad and you give him punishment, because he's not in that state of mind, it has no effect. He will continue. He might get some bodily discomfort as a result of whatever punishment is being given to him, but his mentality will not change. He will continue to behave as a madman in future as well. So he says that just by giving punishment, you're not curing anything, and moreover, will have no impact on me. And Jadabharat, although he said that he's a self-realized devotee, he was not proud of that position, of that of the fact that he was a devotee. So, in fact, he was very humble. He said that he's self-realized, but actually internally he did not consider himself a devotee. So what he did is he took it upon himself that whenever some uh, some activity or some job is given to him that is very austere, that is very punishing to the body, he took it as the Lord's mercy, and the Lord is helping him destroy his sins. So he was carrying, forcefully being told to carry the palanquin, and he didn't react, or he didn't oppose that. Although it is said he was a very muscular, stout person, he could have easily, beaten them and said and gone away. But he took it upon him that if he does carry the palanquin, it will destroy all his past actions, sinful actions. So he replied to the king without any agitation. What will happen to us if we speak to somebody who we know is perhaps not as spiritually advanced as we think we are, and they try to put us down or push us? We become agitated. We want to instantly open our mouth, maybe not open our mouth, we want to shout back at them and say, you don't know what you're doing, you're offending such a big devotee as me. And Jadabharat's way of reacting to this is actually a lesson for us as aspiring devotees. So he was so humble, he did not react to anything. But when the time came to educate Maharaj Rahuguna, he opened his mouth. So this is a very good lesson for us to understand in which circumstances we should keep quiet, and under what circumstances we should open our mouth, and even when we open our mouth, how we should speak. Even though we may be right and somebody else in front may be incorrect in what they are saying, we should be always respectfully speak to them, and make them understand to the best of our ability. If they don't, that's how Krishna wants it, and we should leave it. We should just leave that situation. And if it gets too disturbing, we should leave the place. So this particular instance from Jadabharat gives us a very, very important lesson. Open your mouth only when you have to, and that too very respectfully. Doesn't matter who is in front of you. So the king, so far he heard Jadabharat, and the king, as you can imagine, he did not expect that a palanquin carrier can speak back to him like this, because remember, all the other palanquin bearers, they were very afraid, and they were telling the king that actually it's not us, it's this new guy who's jolting the palanquin and he's causing trouble. And then the king obviously shouted and showed his anger to Jadabharat. They were all very afraid. But Jadabharat, he was not an ordinary palanquin carrier. And then when he opened his mouth and he started educating King Rahuguna about spiritual knowledge, Rahuguna was absolutely taken aback. He knew that this person cannot be an ordinary living entity. Of course, Jadabharat himself said that he is a self-realized soul, and Rahuguna took that very seriously. So when he was hearing these points that Jadabharat was putting forward to Maharaj Rahuguna, he actually understood them. King Rahuguna obviously had some kind of knowledge. And when he heard this coming from Jada Bharat, it actually slackened his false ego. Sometimes we have the knowledge, but because we also have a very big false ego, the knowledge that we get, or the transcendental knowledge that we get, comes under the shadow of this false ego. And we become proud of the fact that we have got transcendental knowledge and you haven't. So this is another lesson to be learned. Like it is said, a person who speaks about Krishna Katha should be qualified. Similarly, the person who is hearing Krishna Katha should also be qualified. Only then the potency of the Supreme Lord, or the potency of devotional service, cleanses all of them. So it's both the speaker, the inquirer, and the hearers. So all the three get purified. There's a nice verse in Canto 10, I think in the first chapter, where there is a very nice description. Vasudeva Katha Prashna, Purusham Trin Punatihi, Prichakam Shrotrims, Vaktaram Prichakam Shrotrims, Yat Pada Salilam Yada. That all the three are purified just like the Ganga purifies the three worlds, because she emanates from the toe of Lord, the Supreme Lord. So King Rahugana, his false ego was slackened, and the material conception that he was conditioned under, that completely was destroyed. He had that knowledge, but it was covered by this material conditioning. So he got down from his palanquin. He knew that this is a person. This is not an ordinary person. He is really a self-realized soul. And he knew that by saying these harsh words, he had offended such a personality. It's very important that he realized that without any ado. And what did he do after that is most important. He could have dismissed Jada Bharat and said, but he knew that he's a great soul. So instantly, as he realized that, he got down from his palanquin and he just did full dandavat to Jada Bharat, touched his head to the lotus feet of Jada Bharat. And he begged Jada Bharat to excuse him for all the offenses he has committed in insulting such exalted Brahmana like Jada Bharat. And then he folded his hands and he asked, "Please tell me, who are you? Why have you come here to this place? It must be to do something good for us." So he also knew the fact, Maharaj knew the fact that such self-realized souls, they are sent forward by Krishna to educate such people, to bring them out of their ignorance and give them transcendental knowledge. He knew that. And this was the manifestation of that knowledge that he saw in front of him. And so he acknowledged him. And then he said that, "See, I'm not afraid of the punishment of Yamaraj or the thunderbolt of Indra, but I'm extremely fearful in the consequences of offending a Brahmana." So you have basically kept the influence of the spiritual knowledge that you have very hidden. He realized the fact that actually this person is internally self-realized, but externally just a normal, dumb, lazy person. And now he understood why Jada Bharat was behaving like that or acting that way. So he says that you keep the influence of the spiritual knowledge hidden. But why do you have to wander like a dull, lazy person? You have actually said correct things. But because I'm in this material conditioned life, I could not really understand those subjects or those topics very clearly. So I would beg you, I would request you to please explain these topics in a much more clearer way. And I feel you are nothing but a descendant of Kapil Dev. So you see, when Jada Bharat first gave him the initial knowledge, King Rahugana was in the palanquin hearing. Now, realizing that first glimpse of knowledge, now Rahugana is surrendered to Jada Bharat. And now Jada Bharat will give him more details and more detailed description of this transcendental knowledge that Maharaj Rahuguna will drink through his ears. And it is exactly the same when Krishna, he was initially just conversing with Arjun very little uh, in the start of the Bhagavad Gita, till the time that Arjun actually surrendered to Krishna. And when Arjun surrendered to Krishna, that's when Krishna started talking the Bhagavad Gita. Because unless somebody surrendered, there is no point giving that person knowledge. And in Hitopadesh, there's a nice verse that says that Upadesho hi murkhanam prakopayana shantaye, which means that if you give good instructions to the foolish people, they will not take advantage of the good instructions. What will they do? They will become even more angry and offensive. And that's why one of the offenses against the holy name, number 9, is that one should not preach the glories of the holy name to non-devotees, to a person who's not favorable to Krishna or to devotional service. It's very important. But when somebody becomes favorable, somebody becomes eager to know more, that's the time the description of the glories of the Supreme Lord can be discussed and can be told to such a person, and that purifies that person completely. So Maharaj Rahuguna came to that particular position, and now he was ready to submissively hear the message of Vasudev from such an exalted Brahmana like Jadabharata. So here he says that please describe to me the most secure shelter in this world. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashtena sevaya. So when somebody surrenders to an exalted soul, the first thing he does is he does pariprashna. He inquires. So Maharaj Rahuguna inquired, please describe to me the most secure shelter in this world. You present yourself as a deaf and dumb, actually, to examine people who is actually a human being fit for receiving this transcendental knowledge and who is not. So please enlighten me to advance me on this spiritual path. So that's where he completely surrendered, and then he expressed some doubts of what what Jadabharat had mentioned. Rahuguna now put forward some of his arguments in a very appropriate way, in a very submissive, humble way, so that Jadabharat could actually enlighten him more about those concepts, and whatever little attachment he still had would be completely destroyed. So we will see how Jadabharat now started giving the details of transcendental knowledge to Maharaj Rahuguna and enlightened him. So we'll continue next week, same day, same time. Before we leave, obviously, we need to understand a few lessons that we got from today's session. So first lesson that we got is, we just discussed, we should know when to speak, when we should open our mouth, and when we do get an opportunity to open our mouth, it should be done very respectfully. It should be done for the sake of educating people at large who are ignorant about spiritual life and spiritual knowledge. And we should never, even though we are in a position of so-called superiority as we might perceive, we must never be harsh or use harsh words to anybody within our reach. So we should know when to open our mouth and speak nicely. Number one. Number two, when we are forced to undergo certain austerities, in fact, all of us are undergoing austerities on a day-to-day basis. Just by working against our wishes every day, we are actually undergoing austerities, isn't it? Doesn't matter. Whatever austerities we think we are undergoing, we should take it as the mercy of the Lord. How? How is it the mercy? I'm suffering. How come it's the mercy of the Lord? Because by going through the suffering, by going through these austerities, our the reactions to our past sins are being destroyed. Just like Jada Bharat was carrying the palki, and that's what he was thinking in his mind. So, whenever we go through problems in life, we should understand that these are the reactions that are being destroyed by Krishna because he's so merciful unto us. So, that's the second point, second lesson. And third lesson, whenever we see an exalted person, whenever we see a self realized personality that we come across, specifically followers of Prabhupada in the Guru Parampara system, we must immediately pay our obeisances and inquire submissively from them and render some service to the best of our ability. So that's why whenever we come across sannyasis, senior devotees who come to the temple or who come and visit us at our place, we must offer our obeisances, give them a nice place to sit. We must feed them nicely, serve them, and ask questions. And that is essentially the duty of self realized souls, to go to people at large and give them transcendental knowledge, to uplift them from their conditioned existence, just like Jada Bharat is doing to Maharaj Rahuguna. So that is a quality of a preacher who goes out there and does the highest welfare activity of pulling people from this material rut and giving them the impetus to progress in their spiritual journey to ultimately reach their final destination. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.